It's a terrible light up there. It's taken all of 70 years for me to finally get the bar mitzvah party that my brother got. But the best part about it is that no one's told me I had to thank Aunt Frumpke or to tell him thank you for the cufflinks and the pens. I can just decide to thank whoever I want. Of course, all of us owe a debt of thanks to Mael and Stacy, Megan, and Jeremy. Thank you. For you to have come here and have to have retirement party after retirement party is asking a lot, but we all really appreciate it, and I certainly do. So thank everybody who helped out on this. I want to talk about three things in the hour and a half that Mael allotted to me. I want to dispel some myths. I want to talk a little bit about the future of the law school, and I want to explain to you why my granddaughters, Niev and Leah, ought to get early admittance to Northeastern Law School. So I'm going to go in that order, and for Tom and Dan and Judy who've edited me, these three topics merge a little bit, but don't worry, there will be some separation. You can edit it later. On the mythology front, I told Judy Brown for all those years that I wanted to talk last, knowing, as all trial lawyers know, that of course the most important place is to talk first, where you set the stage. That's why Maura got to talk first, our Attorney General, knowing that if I told Judy I wanted to talk first each time, I'd end up talking last, because it absolutely, it worked for 30 years. It was absolutely, it was great. The second myth I want to talk to you about is a little self-generated. For a lot of years, my kids they were in college, or they'd come back and they'd say they met a student from Northeastern who said, I taught him civil procedure evidence, and it was a pretty good class, et cetera. And I you begin to swallow your own Kool-Aid after a while. You think you're okay. So a few weeks after I taught my last class in civil procedure, I ran into Janine, who's now a clerk for the SJC, and Janine said, Steve, now that it's all over, well, putting the finality part aside, I tried to listen. Putting it all over, she said, what do you think about your teaching after all these years? I said, and I took it seriously, I said, I think I've been a pretty good teacher to very good law students. She said, Steve, every teacher is a good teacher to very good students. Having put me in my place, I decided to think about the mythology of the law school. And Judy, this is the second point. One thing Judy and I and Dan and all the others have been told, what a great thing it was for you guys to create a cooperative law school. That cooperative legal education is really fabulous. The fact of the matter is that the trustees told us, not me, but Tom O'Toole and the other people, they said, you could reopen the law school if the graduates give you some money and if it's a cooperative law school. So the truth of the matter is we did not invent it, but we did embrace it. And for that we can take some credit. It really is fabulous that we learned that the students would learn more in that 1 year out of the building than in the 2.5 years they were in the building. The other myth was how great it is we created a law school that was committed to social justice, which it was, and which my colleagues have believed in ever since. But think of the timing. Tom O'Toole was thinking about this in excuse me. He was thinking about it when? In 1967, started in 1968, the reopened law school. There were 5 other law schools in the city. You would have to be pretty dopey not to concentrate during the civil rights movement, with the feminist movement taking place, with women having raised family, coming back to law school, not having a law school committed to social justice. But the fact is, we believed it, and we bought it. But it wasn't our creation. Finally, though, the one thing I think all of us can be proud of is the tone of the law school. No one told us to do that. And I've thought a lot about this, whether I'm making it up or whether it's really the truth, but there are a lot of people here who were around at the time or very shortly after. It's got to have been the law school in the world that most thought that students were the most important part of a law school. We really did believe that the school was there for the students. And many people contributed to that, but John Flynn, Carl have spent literally hundreds of hours making sure that students would be heard. And I can't tell you the number of times that Judy Brown would say to Dan or to me or at a meeting, "Is it good for the kids?" That's what she called them. Is it good for the kids? Of that, I think we can be very, very proud. There's a lot in legal education and the education at Northeastern that makes it hard to spend as much time with the students and in the building that we could when there were fewer students, right? We were creating a new thing. It was exciting. Let me tell you a few of them. Among other things, the law professors being hired today have PhDs. They've had 3 years having a writing experience at Harvard, Stanford, NYU, or something like that. By the time they get to law school, they've already published a lot. But to get tenure now, it's incredible. I mean, it's not only several articles, it's now what books do you have planned. The legal profession, or at least the teaching profession, has become interdisciplinary. So that means these young teachers not only have to be good in their PhD, not only do they have to be good in the field of law, they're being asked to be good with other professors at the university, and this is all great. But all of this puts terrific burdens on my colleagues, let alone the computer, where for hours people are sitting at a computer, and put into that international law, where my colleagues are traveling all over the world. And at our law school, there are more conferences in a week or two than we ever had in a year. But the good news is that there's a way we can remain as student-centered as we've always been. I could give you a lot of examples, but I want to talk a minute about Margaret Burnham's civil rights, civil justice project, for which she has recently gotten a Carnegie Fellowship. I don't see Margaret here tonight, but Here's a project dedicated to teaching students to go out there and learn what happened in the most horrible lynchings from the 30s or 40s on, to interview the live witnesses, to make sure it's recorded. She's done this also with the journalism school of the law school. She's done it with the Southern University, alumni have contributed to it. The faculty has contributed to it. So you have this combination of energy that's still student-centered, serving the country and serving the world. I would think that what we can do to keep that people-centered is to have the graduates and the faculty together involve the students as much as we can in all of our projects. I mean, one of the projects we were all involved in was getting Morrow elected, which might have been one of the great things we did in the last few years. And of course, we're next going to have our graduate elected as a senator in New Hampshire. So I want to leave you with that thought that all of us, and by the way, Larry and Maura have done a fabulous job hiring our students and our graduates. And so what you can do to keep the students involved so that they have the feeling that this is a special place where we care for each other and work together on important projects would be great. And now, why I think you should admit Leah and Niamh to law school right now, I don't think they'll be interested, by the way. I think it's more likely that Leah will either be an actress or make films like her Aunt Elizabeth, or she might do stand-up comedy like her Aunt Jennifer. And Niamh will either probably be an artist like her father or raise horses. But you still ought to admit them, starting with Leah. Leah started the third grade this year, is that right, Jenny? I can't see it. Second grade this year. So it was about 2 weeks into it. The teacher, who turned out to be a fabulous teacher, said, I'm going to give you people a test in the next few days, and I don't want anyone talking to each other or even mouthing words. You know what that provoked for Leah, who instantly turned to her neighbor and started a conversation. A little healthy resistance to authority. The best part of that story is that Leah then came home and told the story to Julie and David with, so what, you know? Teacher said to do this, I did that, that was it. It was just the most natural thing in the world. And then there's Niamh, who you can talk to tonight. Niamh has loved horses for as long as I can remember. At least from the time Niamh was 3, I remember her playing with them. And she asked Dennis and Jennifer if she could take riding lessons. So at age 5, they finally relented. They went to Harwich. And she got put on a pony, and it all started. She's been having lessons ever since. So after it was over, and by the way, those of you who worry about hearsay, it's either an excited utterance or it might have been a present sense impression, but I'm pretty sure this is a true story. So I said, Niamh, so what do you think? She said, you know, they put me on it, and it was, she's still not real tall, and she said, I was a little afraid. This is age 5 shit. But I dreamt about doing this all my life. And I decided I'm just going to do it. So there you have it. You're having 2 grandchildren at a very young age, a healthy resistance to authority, and an insistence in following your dreams even if you're afraid. Aren't those the values that... I mean, isn't that what we've tried to do for 48 years now? So, thank you for letting me follow my dreams. I can't remember a time I didn't want to teach. I've always wanted to have conversations with bright people. I was a history and literature major, and that's really what I've liked to do, is history and literature. And here's a job for 46 years. I got to teach and be with very bright, interesting people, write some history and teach law and literature. I'm forever grateful to the 8 of you. I really appreciate what you said, and all of you for coming, some of you from a long way away. Let's go drink.
There's more.